Blaine feels confident behind the wheel of his car. He's been driving since he was young. Now, returning from his elderly mother's house in the village, he drives slowly. Muffled music plays in the cabin. His mother is 87 years old, but still on her feet, tending her own vegetable garden. Blaine, her youngest son, is in his 50s, yet he feels 25 and looks very young. He brings groceries to his mother, chops firewood, and helps repair the shed. While driving, he stays focused. The highway towards the city is busy, especially with huge trucks rushing by at high speeds. Blaine can already see the city lights. He drives slowly because no one is waiting for him. Few men under 50 live alone. Most are family men. But he blames only himself for his solitude. He should have used his own judgment instead of following friends or getting involved with strangers and casual women. He often scolds himself. It's true what they say. When life is good, you lose your head. That's what happened to me. I got used to having a faithful wife, always waiting at home. The best life. And I took it for granted. We don't appreciate what we have until it's gone. Blaine had been living alone in a rented apartment for almost 2 years, a situation he created himself. He can't seem to escape it. He dated his wife Tina for a year before they decided to marry right after graduation. Tina studied in the same year, a stately, beautiful girl with dark hair and blue eyes. Her eyes were especially striking. You could say it was because of those very eyes that Blaine fell in love with her. He still does. As planned, they married after graduating from university. The wedding was lively and noisy, with many classmates attending. The young couple were happy, and their parents were satisfied. They lived harmoniously and worked hard. Soon they had a son with beautiful eyes like their mother's, and then a daughter who was the spitting image of her father. Blaine, being enterprising in his soul, quickly went into business. Tina helped her husband in every way. Despite having 2 children, she managed everything efficiently. Her husband tried to protect her. Tina, don't take on such a heavy load. I can handle these documents, calculations, and accounting myself. I'll just work longer hours. You need to sleep and rest. The kids already keep you busy. How do you manage it all? Come on, Blaine, it's no problem. I feel fine, and I want to help you, to be useful, Tina would say, hugging her husband. And he was well aware that he couldn't manage without her. Everything was fine for a long time. Time passed, the children grew up and started school. The business seemed to be thriving, but then Blaine, unexpectedly, lost it all. Tina shouldered the burden, working and supporting the whole family. Blaine behaved terribly at first, but then, feeling remorseful, he said, Tina, I'm sorry. I'm not acting like a man, taking it out on you. It's not your fault. I missed the warning signs and didn't think it through. I thought it would work out, but it didn't. My brother warned me this could happen, but I was so sure of myself. And now, you see, I'm paying the price. Tina silently and steadfastly endured all her husband's failures, never giving up. Then Blaine overcame the initial shock and apathy. He joined in with new forces, and they overcame everything together. Their son was finishing school, and their daughter was also in high school. Things improved, and their business flourished again through their joint efforts. After school, their son went to the capital to study at university. One day, Tina asked, Honey, I've been offered a high-paying position. I've accepted, but I'll be very busy at work until I get up to speed. I have to be away from home a lot. What do you think? Business has picked up, so I want to do something I love. I don't mind, Tina, Blaine said hesitantly. It's just that we're financially stable now. Is it worth taking on such a demanding job when we're living comfortably? Blaine, I believe there's no such thing as too much money. If I've been offered a lucrative job that I'll enjoy as well, I don't think it makes sense to refuse, Tina replied. Well, it's up to you. If you like it and want to do it, I'm fine with it, her husband responded. Time passed. Tina immersed herself in work, and Blaine was also busy. It was during this time that a moment came which he still cannot forgive himself for. He wished he could close his eyes and forget everything that had happened, to press a delete button and erase it all. But unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. Blaine and Tina didn't grow apart. Despite his wife's busy schedule, everything seemed fine. She remained a beloved wife and close friend. However, in Blaine's social circle, many of his friends suddenly began divorcing their wives and becoming infatuated with younger women. It was a classic midlife crisis. Blaine had no intention of divorcing Tina. He loved her. But men's vacations with friends began to take on a different character. Friends brought their young girlfriends. There was alcohol, fun, and a sense of freedom. Then Heather appeared in Blaine's life, introduced by one of Blaine's friends, who said, "Look, Blaine, we all have our girlfriends and you're alone. You don't want your wife to see all this, do you? Here's a friend for you too, Heather. You don't have to marry her, just spend time with her. I think you can handle it." The friend spoke confidently and persuasively. Heather was a friend of his girlfriend. Returning home to his wife, Blaine wasn't troubled by doubts or shame. "What's the big deal? It happened, that's all. Anyway, Tina will never find out," he reassured himself as he drove home. But one meeting wasn't enough. There was a second and a third. Unexpectedly, Blaine found himself drawn to Heather, and he couldn't control it. He began provoking quarrels with his wife. Suddenly, over trivial matters, he would stir up arguments. Tina suspected something was wrong. After all, a woman always senses when her husband's behaviour changes. She even asked him directly, "Blaine, why do you start arguments out of nowhere? Is it for you to have a reason to leave our house again? I'm not holding you back. I don't know for sure, but I suspect you've found someone else. How else can I explain your nagging?" "You're imagining things. You've become jealous for no reason. Maybe I'm having problems with the business." Blaine excused himself. But the woman isn't easily fooled. This time, the argument ended with Blaine packing some belongings and leaving the house. He called Heather, who welcomed him with open arms. She had been looking forward to this for a long time. Tina understood everything and didn't demean herself by trying to find out where her husband had gone or who he was with. Blaine lived in paradise for the first month. Heather took such care of him that he had never dreamed of. She cooked and fed him like a queen, massaged his back, doted on him with adoration, and looked into his eyes with happiness. Blaine was in bliss. But then his older brother, Russ, called. "Blaine, what are you doing? Wake up! Why did you leave Tina? Don't you realise that without your wife, you're nothing? Without Tina, you're nothing. Your business thrives because of your wife. If you don't go back to her, I'll lose all respect for you." "Russ, what's wrong? I feel better with Heather. You don't know what she's like. I'll introduce you to her." Blaine defended himself, but his brother stood his ground. "You'll remember my words. We'll see how it goes. No need to introduce me to her. I respect Tina, and I don't recognise anyone else." Tina filed for divorce. Blaine didn't claim the apartment. After all, there were children. Even though they were adults, children are children. It's sacred. His daughter stopped talking to him and wouldn't answer his calls. About a year passed. Life with Heather gradually changed. As soon as his divorce was finalised, she began to demand money from him and was against him transferring money to his daughter and son. Then her balcony needed glazing. Then her apartment needed renovations, replacing linoleum with laminate, changing wallpaper, furniture. And then her parents needed gas installed in their house. Everything had to be done. Heather herself transformed into an entirely different woman. Lazy and unkempt. In the evenings, friends came over for parties with alcohol. When Blaine reprimanded her, she replied, "What's wrong with you? You wanted to get me? You got. Now, what are you dissatisfied with? I don't massage you anymore. That's it. The passion is gone, only everyday life remains. Don't like my friends? You live in my apartment. You didn't want to divide yours, so put up with it." Blaine fully realized what married life with Tina had meant compared to life with Heather. There was no warmth, nothing to eat at home. She didn't have an opportunity to cook dinner. He often cooked himself. In time, he grasped the horror of his situation. "It's a nightmare. How did I hurt Tina and the children? Whom did I trade my beloved wife for? Why didn't I see it right away?" Well, Blaine endured Heather, but eventually realized he couldn't stand such a life. He packed his things and left her. Now he lives in a rented apartment where no one waits for him. He tried to reconcile with his ex-wife. "Tina, we need to talk. I'm sorry. I hurt you terribly. I've realized everything. I truly miss you and the kids." "I forgive you, but I'm not going to talk to you. I'm in a new relationship. I've met a good man, a real and faithful man, and I'm getting married soon. So I wish you happiness too. And you should establish relations with your children yourself. They're grown up now." Tina answered calmly. Blaine drove up to the house where he rented an apartment. The windows were dark. No one was waiting for him. He thought, "My brother was right, but I didn't listen to him. Now my business is declining. I need to call him. Maybe he can help me, give me some advice. How sorry I feel for myself now. I've ruined my life. Fool." Blaine got out of the car and headed for the apartment. He knew it was empty. He had no idea how to fix his life now, how to pull himself together. It finally dawned on him that without the woman he loves, his life would likely not improve. He couldn't accept that Tina was going to get married. What should he do now?